Welcome to Xi Jinping Briefing. The content of the briefing includes Wednesday briefing, the aftermath of China's quake. Where did Santa come from? Was pudding really served with meat? Everything you wanted to know about Christmas. China's Xi calls for all-out search after earthquake kills at least 118. Senate Republicans recoil at Trump poisoning the blood of our country remarks. Everyone is trying to woo Vietnam. Why Hanoi's bamboo policy works. Wednesday briefing, the aftermath of China's quake. New York Times. A 5.9 magnitude earthquake in northwest China has killed more than 120 people and injured more than 500, according to officials and state media. The quake damaged 15,000 houses and knocked out water, electricity and transportation links in some parts of the region. The temperature during the quake in Jishishan County, the epicenter, was almost -20 degrees Celsius, or about -4 degrees Fahrenheit. China is experiencing sudden cold weather, and people who were at the quake site reported that they had started bonfires in their yards or set cardboard boxes on fire to stay warm. The region hit by the earthquake is one of China's poorest areas, and the mountainous terrain is prone to earthquakes. The government has deployed teams to the site to oversee the rescue operation, and China's top leader, Xi Jinping, has ordered workers to repair infrastructure as quickly as possible. Where did Santa come from? Was pudding really served with meat? Everything you wanted to know about Christmas. The Sydney Morning Herald. Every culture has its own version of Christmas, with different customs and traditions. The celebration has evolved over time and been influenced by various historical, religious, and cultural factors. The origins of Christmas can be traced back to the Christian festival celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. The date of December 25 was chosen by Christians in Europe, although the exact reason for this choice is uncertain. It may have been associated with the winter solstice, which symbolizes the return of light and the birth of Jesus as the light of the world. Other theories suggest a connection to ancient Roman festivals that took place during this time. The celebration of Christmas gradually spread throughout Europe and became a public holiday in many countries. In the 19th century, Christmas traditions were further popularized and standardized through the invention of the penny post and the rise of consumer capitalism. This led to the mass production and exchange of Christmas cards and the commercialization of the holiday. Santa Claus, the jolly bearded figure associated with Christmas, has his origins in the stories and legends surrounding Saint Nicholas, a Christian bishop known for his acts of kindness and gift-giving. The modern image of Santa Claus was popularized in the 19th century through various writings and illustrations. The tradition of decorating Christmas trees also has a long history. It originated in medieval Europe, where evergreen trees were used as symbols of life and rebirth during winter festivals. The tradition was further popularized by German merchants in the 16th and 17th centuries and became associated with Christmas in the 19th century. Today, Christmas is celebrated in different ways around the world, with unique customs and traditions specific to each culture. Despite its diverse origins and practices, the holiday continues to be a time for generosity, imagination, and togetherness. China's Xi calls for all-out search after earthquake kills at least 118. Financial Times. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for an all-out effort to rescue survivors and provide relief to those affected by an earthquake in China's northwest that killed over 118 people and injured hundreds more. The earthquake, with a magnitude of 6.2, struck Gansu province in neighboring Qinghai on Monday night, causing significant damage to infrastructure and buildings. The Chinese government has already allocated nearly $30 million for disaster relief efforts in the affected areas. Natural disasters in China have previously caused controversy due to the poor response and inadequate infrastructure. However, in the immediate aftermath of this earthquake, social media has shown concern for victims and praise for officials' response. Senate Republicans recoil at Trump poisoning the blood of our country remarks. Hill. Senate Republicans have distanced themselves from Donald Trump after he claimed immigrants are poisoning the blood of the U.S. and quoted Vladimir Putin to defend himself against 91 felony counts. Republican senators including Tom Tillis and Shelley Moore Capito criticized Trump's comments, with Capito saying, "I can't be accountable for what he says." Senate Republican Whip John Thune said Trump's rhetoric was wrong but added that President Joe Biden was failing to enforce immigration laws. Trump's comments have given ammunition to Democrats, with one spokesperson describing him as parroting Adolf Hitler. Everyone is trying to woo Vietnam. Why Hanoi's bamboo policy works. Japan Times. Vietnam is being courted by both the US and China, but it should maintain its non-alignment and act in its own best interests. Vietnam should use its influence with both countries to bring them closer together and work on global issues such as climate change and nuclear weapons. If someone has a cheaper and more efficient plan than carbon pricing, I would love to hear it. Climate change, plus other letters to the editor for December 19th. The Globe and Mail. The rule of law in Hong Kong is undermined by Beijing's political power, says Jean-Jacques Blaise in a letter to the Globe and Mail. Blaise argues that the Chinese government's adoption of Hong Kong's national security law, which effectively prevented the choice of defense counsel, shows that the law is merely an instrument of political power. Blaise calls for Beverly McLaughlin, who commented on the issue in the paper, to resign. Other letters to the Globe and Mail include calls for university presidents to be asked if they have been permissive of calls for genocide, and criticism of Canada's resolute support for Israel. Another letter criticizes the Ontario government's decision to loosen rules around alcohol sales, and asks what problem it addresses. Who gets to tell China's story? Foreign Affairs. The rise of citizen historians in China is challenging the Chinese Communist Party's, CCP, control of history. Digital technologies such as PDFs and digital cameras have allowed citizens to preserve and spread historical memory, enabling the revival of banned or out-of-print books and the creation of new publications. These tools have become the modern-day weapons of the weak, allowing citizen historians to confront the government's myth-like telling of history. Despite the CCP's efforts to control history, events such as last year's white paper protests against COVID-19 lockdowns and a slowing economy show that large groups of Chinese people are questioning the government's version of events. China, 6.2 magnitude earthquake leaves over 100 dead. Deutsche Welle. A 6.2 magnitude earthquake in northwestern China has left at least 111 people dead and over 230 injured. The quake hit the province of Gansu and neighboring province Qinghai. The epicenter was 102 kilometers west-southwest of Gansu's capital city, Lanzhou, and struck at a depth of 35 kilometers. Another earthquake of magnitude 5.5 struck China's northwestern Xinjiang region the following day. The earthquake damaged water and electricity lines and disrupted transportation and communications in the affected regions. China's leader, Xi Jinping, has called for an all-out search and rescue effort to minimize casualties, and the Ministry of Emergency Management has activated a Level 4 disaster relief emergency. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 Degrees world, bringing you the latest news from around the globe. Today, we have seen a range of stories, from the aftermath of a devastating earthquake in China to the origins of Christmas and the political tensions in the United States. Let's dive in and analyze these stories together. First, we learned about a 5.9 magnitude earthquake in northwest China that has claimed the lives of over 120 people and left more than 500 injured. The affected region, known for its poverty and prone to earthquakes, is now grappling with the aftermath of this natural disaster. The Chinese government has swiftly responded, deploying rescue teams to the site and prioritizing infrastructure repair. Our thoughts go out to those affected by this tragedy, and we hope for a quick recovery. Shifting gears, we explored the fascinating history of Christmas and its various cultural traditions. From the origins of the holiday as a Christian festival celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ to the commercialization and standardization of Christmas in the 19th century, it's clear that Christmas has evolved over time. Whether you're setting up a Christmas tree or awaiting a visit from Santa Claus, it's interesting to see how these customs have developed across different cultures. Meanwhile, in the political realm, we witnessed Senate Republicans distancing themselves from former President Donald Trump after his controversial comments about immigrants. While Republicans criticized Trump's rhetoric, they also called attention to what they perceive as President Joe Biden's shortcomings in enforcing immigration laws. These political dynamics continue to shape the landscape in the United States, with Democrats seizing the opportunity to criticize Trump and his supporters. On the international stage, Vietnam finds itself caught between the influence of the United States and China. As both countries seek to court Vietnam, it is crucial for Hanoi to maintain its non-alignment and act in its own best interests. Vietnam's potential to bring these two superpowers together on global issues such as climate change and nuclear weapons is an opportunity worth exploring. Shifting gears once more, we discuss the rule of law in Hong Kong and its perceived erosion by Beijing's political power. The adoption of Hong Kong's national security law, which limits the choice of defense counsel, has raised concerns about the independence of the judiciary. These issues highlight the ongoing challenges faced by Hong Kong and the need for continued scrutiny and engagement. Lastly, we explored the rise of citizen historians in China, who are challenging the Chinese Communist Party's control of history. Through digital technologies, citizen historians are preserving and spreading historical memory, confronting the government's version of events. This grassroots movement demonstrates that large groups of Chinese people are questioning the government's narrative and seeking alternative perspectives. In conclusion, today's news has covered a wide range of topics, from natural disasters and cultural traditions to political tensions and historical narratives. As always, I encourage you, our viewers, to share your thoughts and questions. What are your perspectives on these stories? Let's continue the conversation together. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.